How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Portland, Oregon Mayor Ted Wheeler going on television and exposing himself for the far leftist, extremist, sympathizer, and anti-conservative, anti-right person that he is. Now, of course, I do have video, and in this video, you'll see what he said in context, and after we get done, I'll give you my analysis, give you my 2 cents, and then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
We've seen this national rising tide of violence and hate speech and intolerance, and it's mostly been geared towards women, towards people of color, towards immigrants. And we want to put out the message. We'll be ready for them. We will be enforcing the law.
You know,
so if people
the
are
track
thinking of
record
coming
of
to Portland to
Antifa.
commit
I
acts of
apologize
violence,
for talking
we
over
don't
you,
want
sir.
you here.
You know the record of Antifa as well, sir, right?
Look, this isn't about anybody's politics. This is about behavior. Anybody, whether they're coming here, whether they live here, if they're engaged in acts of violence, if they're breaking the law, we're going to enforce it. We're going to hold people accountable.
Portland, Oregon, bracing for dueling Antifa and far-right protests this weekend after rival demonstrations turned violent there in June. Portland leaders planning a major law enforcement presence with all of the city's police officers working on Saturday. State police and the FBI will assist, and the mayor may ask the governor to call out the Oregon National Guard. Do you feel like animus between these two groups or the need to demonstrate and get out there has gone up in the past few years? I mean, is Portland normally a place where people like to go out and exercise their free speech in this manner? Or do you feel like there's a climate that has added to these two groups kind of wanting to come together?
There is a national climate here, and we're not separate from that national climate. We're seeing a rise in hate speech, in intolerance, in division, in racism. And all of these things are coming to a head. And so what we're seeing in Portland is a thriving, beautiful, dynamic city, but it's also a progressive city. And so we're seeing more people from the far right, including white supremacists, white nationalists, neo-Nazis, and others. They're coming to Portland because they know that there will be a conflict. And that's what they want. They want conflict, and then their message will be carried broadly by the media.
Well, what about Antifa's part in that, though? I mean, it's not like Antifa's not looking for a fight. I mean, you don't see them as equally to blame in this?
Look, again, when it comes to enforcement of our community standards, we support people's rights to demonstrate. They have their First Amendment rights. But we don't care who you are or what your politics are. If you engage in violence in this city, you will be held accountable.
Okay.
It's about enforcing the law, and that's what we're going to do.
Okay, so you see what he said, you heard what he said, you see what's going on. Now, there's a lot to get into. I'm not really sure where to begin. Let's start from the top. I'm watching Fox News randomly right around 1 o'clock during lunch just to see what's going on. And here comes Ted Wheeler on my TV. I'm like, okay, this can't be a scheduled interview or some kind of, expose into Portland. This is like a random quick hit. Why is he here? So I listened to what he said, and what he said was pretty crazy, but not at all shocking. He was talking about the violence in Portland that's been happening over the past few weeks, maybe even years, from the extremist groups that come. He mentioned the far-right extremist groups, your neo-Nazi, your KKK, your white supremacists, this, that, and the third. He also talked about how these groups are targeting women, people of color, immigrants, and all of that. But when asked about the far-left group, Antifa, he was all quiet, talking about, I don't care about your politics. Sir, how can you mention far-right groups by name? You actually said far-right in your response. How can you say that? And then when asked about the far left, Antifa, you're quiet, talking about, I don't care about your politics. If you don't care about politics, why did you mention the far right specifically? Not even just the groups that may be considered far right, but you also said far right. You said those words. So you are a liar, and a bad liar at that. Ted Wheeler is obviously a far leftist extremist sympathizer. We all know about Andy No. Okay, that was very clear what happened in that situation. The police were not able to intervene. People haven't been arrested from the situation. I believe that Ted Wheeler sees Antifa as the good guys, those that are protesting against the big bad bullies on the right. So he doesn't have them in the same category as people on the right. It's simple. it's come out that he told the police to stand down during some of these protests where Antifa are beating up random people like Andy No and also those that could be considered on the right. He says that's not true. The police chief or commissioner, I'm not quite sure what that person's label is because, fun fact, Ted Wheeler is the mayor of Portland, but also the police chief. It's some kind of old gold rush rule. So there is a person that is the head of police that's not the mayor, although the mayor is the head of police. But that's a different story, and I digress. Anyway, they both came out and said that the whole stand down thing was not true. However, if you go to Mr. Ted Wheeler's Twitter account and look back to June of 2018, he has what is basically a stand down order right there, talking about, well, I don't believe in ICE and their mission and the child separation. So if there's a protest going on, I don't want the police to get involved because I feel like that agency is unjust and what they do is not right. All this, that, and the third. That was just last year, okay, in June. So we're not even 12 months beyond that situation happening. It's right there on his Twitter page. So he can't say that he has not told the officers to stand down. He told the whole world that he does not want the police to be involved in that situation. So if there's an anti-ICE protest, who's going to be there protesting against ICE? It's going to be the far left. It's going to be Antifa. So he has a soft spot for Antifa. And you can't say he does not know who Antifa are because Antifa are very well known in general all over the country, all over the world, really, especially in Europe and the Americas, but definitely on the left coast, California, Washington State, Oregon. That's where they dominate on that part of the country. Rose City Antifa has come out and said that they want a so-called counter protest, which ain't nothing but just come out to try to fight and shut down the rally that's going to happen tomorrow. And by the way, the reason why Ted Wheeler was on television talking about the violence in Oregon from the political groups is because he was trying to prevent individuals from coming tomorrow, which would be Saturday, August 17th, 2019. Joe Biggs is going to have a rally out there, and I think the title is "In Domestic Terrorism." And the purpose of it is to highlight groups like Antifa and other domestic terrorist organizations that are allowed to pretty much do whatever they want willy-nilly. Rose City Antifa came out and said they're going to have people to come out there and fight against them. So it looks like Ted Wheeler supports Rose City Antifa. The way he sees it is like this. If people from the so-called right don't come there and they don't start trouble, then the people that are counter-protesting won't come either. That's his point of view. Although the violence I see usually comes from the far left all the time. People getting their heads beat in randomly, all of this and that. He spoke about women, people of color, and immigrants, but Andy No, the journalist who got beat up by Antifa in Portland with, by the way, no arrests, no real leads, nothing really happened. The police didn't intervene until after he was pretty much already pummeled, stomped into dust, essentially. He is not only an immigrant from, I think, Southeast Asia, he's also a so-called person of color and gay. But his situation doesn't really matter because he's perceived to be on the opposing side. As I close, I want to say this. These crazy leftists like your Ted Wheeler and your regular peons, your dope fiends in Portland, and want to go out there and hurt people on the right because they're bored or they're high on drugs. These people are truly what they purport themselves to be against. They're talking about, oh, we're anti-fascist. I can't tell. You guys appear to be the fascists. You guys appear to be the brown shirts in Italy and the people in the Nazi regime. You guys are the exact same thing. It's shameful that a sitting mayor is allowed to protect these individuals. I like what Trump said. Antifa is a violent group, and hopefully we get to have them be labeled a hate group. I denounce all hate groups. I don't care if you left, right, center, agnostic politically. I denounce all hate groups. That should have been what Ted Wheeler did, but he did not do that because he is a far leftist extremist sympathizer, obviously, by his words on television today and also from previous tweets of yesterday. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think that Ted Wheeler was correct to label the far right as white supremacists, KKK, neo-Nazis, this, that, and the third, but not label the far left, but not call out Antifa? it's pretty clear that he didn't do it, because when he was asked about Antifa 2 times, he just did some Neo in the Matrix dodge. He avoided that like it was a plague. He did not want to talk about it at all. I wonder why. You know, these guys got masks on. I mean, who's really in Antifa? That's what I want to know, but that's a different story. And for now, I digress. But am I right here, or am I off point? Am I a bigot? Am I racist? Do I just hate brown people? Last I checked, I was a brown person, you know, so I don't know how that really works. I'm all about the truth. I don't really care about nothing. I mean, if you have a hate group, call it what it is. I don't care if it's on the right, left, call it what it is. Be truthful. Don't be so biased. You just totally ignore reality. But whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.